Hi, I'm TrekHer Wilson, your certified nature and forest therapy guide. And today I wanted to clear up one of the most common questions that I hear. What's the difference between nature therapy, forest bathing, and something called Shinrin-yoku? I did a little search here and I do see some videos on YouTube that kind of introduce the topic. And I think there's even a few documentaries, so I won't do that here. I can put a few links in the description too, though, if you haven't seen them. Today, though, I wanted to talk about how these terms relate to each other and how I personally guide people in my practice of nature therapy. Let's start with the one that's been around the longest, Shinrin-yoku. Shinrin-yoku is a Japanese phrase that means forest bathing, and not bathing like with water and soap. You need to wear clothes, but it means bathing in the atmosphere of the forest. And it became an official public health practice in Japan back in the 1980s when doctors started prescribing it to help reduce stress and burnout. What an amazing prescription. I'd love one of those. It's slow, it's quiet, it's not a hike, there's no destination. And participants spend time tuning into their senses, maybe listening to the wind through the trees or noticing how sunlight moves on the forest floor. And in English, we usually translate Shinrin-yoku as forest bathing, and today that term gets used all over the world in various ways, actually. Some people use forest bathing and Shinrin-yoku interchangeably, and that's okay. But it's helpful to remember that Shinrin-yoku has deep cultural roots in Japan. Now let's talk about what I do as a nature and forest therapy guide. What I offer is inspired by Shinrin-yoku, but a key difference is that my practice goes beyond extracting human health outcomes from nature. At its core, I apply the key concept of reciprocity, building a relationship with nature where we support and nurture each other in the moment. And through this, we use embodiment and relational practice. And it's also not about hiking or exercise, and it's not a naturalist walk to learn about the plants and animals, but instead it's an opportunity to connect with yourself and with the land in a mindful and, more importantly, heart-centered way. So while forest bathing is typically quiet and sensory-based in a forest setting, nature therapy is a broader practice. For example, I might guide a walk in a city arboretum, which I've done, a mountain trail, which I enjoy very much, or near a lake. The place isn't as important as the guide and the approach. Nature is everywhere. I love a forest session, don't get me wrong, but a session on the beach is just as effective. I use a structure that helps people drop into something called a liminal space, and it's a soft space in between a state where you're in tune to your senses, you're curious, but you're more present. It's something like a soft daydream, which is why it's so necessary to have a good guide. And during my sessions, I offer invitations. They're not instructions, and they help engage you with the land through your senses and your body and your emotions. And sometimes people laugh, sometimes people cry, sometimes they love to share, and sometimes they just breathe for the first time in many weeks. What makes my practice unique is my approach, my experiences, and I don't lead from the front. I hold space at the edge for you. It's not coaching, it's not therapy in the clinical sense, but it is deeply therapeutic. And it's for everyone. If you're a burnt out executive, a manager of a team navigating difficult transitions, a mom at her wit's end, I've been all of these things, believe me. Check out my previous videos if you want. I put nature therapy to the test, and it worked. It worked so well that I've dedicated my life to serve others through nature therapy. So to sum things up, Shinrin-yoku is the original Japanese practice. Forest bathing is the Western version, often used as a general term. And nature therapy, like what I offer, draws from both, but also includes other ways of being in relationship with the natural world around us. And the idea for me is the deeper relationship that we have, the more we care about nature, and therefore would tend to want to take care of it because we take care of what we love. In future videos, I'll go into more detail like how a session works or how to find a guide or what's the difference between a certified guide with ANFT versus other organizations, because I know there's some confusion out there. So feel free to subscribe or drop a comment if this sparked something for you. And thank you for watching, and I'll see you in the next one.